Okay. Hello and welcome to NAIFA Live. I'm your host, Zach Hewells. We are very excited to have you join us virtually for this month's NAIFA Live as we continue our year-long celebration of our 130th year anniversary of NAIFA. We have a great speaker lined up for you today, but first I just wanted to cover a couple of housekeeping items. First off, I hope you're all getting ready for our NAIFA Nation Impact Week next week. We have a lot of fantastic speakers and panels, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. Second, I just wanted to remind you that the 4 Under 40 award deadline has been extended to June 15th, and the NAIFA Quality Award, or NQA, is open until June 30th. So there's still some time to apply for either one of those, or reach out to someone who you think may be interested. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for being with us through these virtual events the past couple of months. It's been really great to see NAIFA come together and interact with one another virtually. But before we head into the program, I would like to introduce John D. Richardson from NAIFA, Tennessee, to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, everyone, hand over the heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And as a note to our participants today, we will be fielding questions from Marcus at the end of his presentation as time allows. So please submit your questions via the Q&A feature in Zoom, and John will get to them. But now I'd like to turn things over to NAIFA CEO Kevin Mayu for some quick NAIFA announcements. Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Zach. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. As you probably know, NAIFA's been doing these virtual events for quite some time with NAIFA Live, but over the past 2 months in particular, as we've all been dealing with COVID-19. And it's amazing to think of the number of people that have been reached through these activities. For instance, we have surpassed more than 10,000 people have logged on to watch one of our virtual events since the pandemic began 2 months ago. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. A couple things I just wanted to kind of bring to your attention to make sure you're taking advantage of it. Again, like Zach mentioned at the beginning, NAIFA Impact Week is next week. It's going to be fantastic. We're doing this in lieu of our congressional conference. On Tuesday, May 19th, we have our diversity symposium. This is the 5th time we've done this diversity event. It's incredible. It's a great way to get more people involved, to help us understand how the industry and the profession can reach more diverse audiences, and also encourage people from diverse backgrounds to be part of our profession. Tuesday, May 19th. On Wednesday, May 20th, we have our Advocacy and Action Day, and we've got 3 hours chock full of our government relations team talking about what's happening in Congress, how you can have an impact as an advisor, and we're going to also hear from several members of Congress who will be joining us during that Zoom presentation on Wednesday, May 20th. And then on Thursday, May 21st, we're going to have our Leadership Day, and our Leadership Day is going to have some fantastic speakers to talk about how you can be a better leader, a stronger leader, and it's just going to be a day that you don't want to miss. We also have a celebrity coming that day. We have Kevin O'Leary, who's Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. He'll be speaking from 1 to 2 o'clock Eastern time during that. So please join us for that day and for all the other days during Impact Week. If you haven't signed up yet, it's real simple. Just go to the main website. It's naifa.org/impact, and you can sign up for 1 day, 2 days, or all 3 days and join us next week and take place. We also have a bonus opportunity, and an announcement went out to all of the NAIFA members this morning on it. And this is just a NAIFA members only event. And that is next Wednesday, the 20th, from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have a special online concert to benefit IFAPAC. And so, as you all know, IFAPAC is one of the ways in which we reach out and engage policymakers. So that's taking place again on Wednesday, May 20th, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. And to register for that, you go to belong.naifa.org/Lopez. And you can sign up for that event. It'll be a lot of fun. For those of you that haven't heard Christian yet, he's been to a couple of NAIFA events, but he's a former American Idol contestant and a national recording artist, and he's going to be joining us. So hopefully you can join us too for that event, and then for all 3 events going on during NAIFA Impact Week next week. Thanks, Zach. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Kevin. And now I would just like to introduce Karen Bird, who is NAIFA Tennessee President, who is going to be introducing our speaker today. Welcome, Karen.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Karen Bird, president of NAIFA Tennessee. I've had many great NAIFA moments, one of which was at a NAIFA Tennessee leadership conference. A very young man was on stage that I knew would leave a lasting impression on my life and the lives of countless others. That young man was Marcus Henderson. There was no doubt that he would rise to greatness both personally and professionally. And again, this is another great NAIFA moment. I'm delighted that our state is hosting NAIFA Live this month with one of our own NAIFA leaders, Marcus Henderson. Marcus is president and CEO of Henderson Financial Group and serves as lead financial advisor for his thriving wealth management firm in Brentwood, Tennessee. A native Nashvilleian, attended Tennessee State University. Marcus is a past president of NAIFA Nashville, having served in 1999 and 2000, and served as state president of Tennessee in 2004 and 2005. He was the recipient of the Nashville Todd A. Baker Extraordinary Award in 2014, and 2013 was honored as NAIFA Tennessee's Insurance Professional of the Year. His practice objective is to treat and help guard the financial health of his clients on an ongoing individual basis. His professional philosophy is to plan your life as though you were going to live forever and plan your demise as though it were going to be tomorrow. His industry-wide accomplishments are numerous and include holding platinum qualifying status in John Hancock Financial Network Signatures Annual Award Conference. And Marcus is a frequent columnist in many national financial planning magazines. And now it is my honor to turn this over to our keynote speaker, my dear friend, Marcus Henderson.
Karen, God bless you. I appreciate you for all that you have done and the relationship that we continue to share. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone that has decided to come in and share this time. You know, I used to think that a day went, rather slow, but it goes quite quickly, particularly in the times that we find ourselves. So today, we're going to come together as one and enjoy maybe some good times about this great profession where we find ourselves. I'm about to share screen now, and if you will allow me to share screen. Okay. Here we go. All right. The title of my presentation today is Leaders Lead and Builders Build. But before we get started, I want to tell you something. Because when I was always going to a NAIFA meeting, I'd always want to know who was the speaker and what was the history of that speaker. Well, I want to give you three things. The first of all, I am almost a 30-year member of NAIFA National. That is important for you to know because I'm very committed to what NAIFA is all about. Number two, I'm a 29-year member of the $1 Million Roundtable. That's right, 29 years, and I've never missed a meeting. Not an opportunity to grow will I ever miss that. I'm also a 10-year member of the Top of the Table, which of course is the top 3% of financial advisors internationally. I don't say that to brag, I just say that for you to know that some of the information you will be getting from some of the best people out there in our industry. And then finally, just like many of you, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and a son. So there's not a whole lot of difference between me and you. So with that said, and with that known, let's get started. One of my great mentors when I first began was the great Ben Feldman. And Ben Feldman, I met him in Boston back in 1989. I'll never forget it. We were in the elevator and he looked at me and he said, son, one day you're going to be big in this business. He didn't even know me, but we became good friends. But one of the things he used to always say before he began his presentations was this: I don't want to talk to you. I would like to talk with you. And hopefully when it's over with, that's how it'll go, rather loose and easy. And I think what he was saying is that I don't want to talk above you, but I do want to talk with you as a trusted confidant and friend. And that's what I want to attempt to do today. First of all, let's get everything started with a positive mental focus. You see, right now, it's so very easy to get up and have a negative focus with what's going on currently in our environment. So we have to shape our minds around a positive mental focus. Well, let me give you 3 and possibly another one that you will appreciate. The first one is to remember this: wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. I'm gonna say that one more time. Wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. So you've got to be careful about the little distractions that are popping up each and every second as we sit at our homes or at our offices or at wherever trying to do business during this difficult time. Yes, the dog is going to bark. Yes, you're going to have someone at the door delivering a package. Yes, you have to stop to do this and that. But be very careful. Wherever your focus goes, your energy will flow. The next one: successful people manage their choices, not their time. We hear all the time, manage your time, but no. Successful people take it one step further. They manage their choices and not their time. You see, if you make the right choices each and every day with everything that you do, you don't have to worry about your time, because all of the priorities that you have set for your life and for your career will happen. Makes sense, doesn't it? So think about that the next time someone says, well, I want you to manage your time correctly. No, manage your choices. And then number 3, which is a big one: how much thought have you ever really given to your thoughts? Let me say that again. How much thought have you ever really given to your thoughts? Always remember, always think about what you think about. Did you hear that? Always think about what you think about. So many people will just get up and let their minds just run, and there's no direction there. See, the mind's a powerful thing. It will only do what you tell it to do. So you have to think about your thoughts, put them in order to allow for you to have a successful and productive day. Now, I promised you, maybe, just maybe, I would give you a bonus positive mental thought. Here's one that's not on the screen. Be careful about forsaking your future for the present. Be careful about forsaking the future for the present. See, right now, I know many of you out there are having a difficult time in this business. You can't talk to people. You can't do the networking events. You can't do all of the things that's necessary in your mind to be successful in this business. So you start to question yourself. Maybe this is just not for me. Oh, well, I'm going to tell you, this is the new formation of a new generation. It's the new formation of a new generation. So what you're going to have to do is think outside yourself to exercise maybe some muscles that you didn't even know you had, and make them strong enough that you will succeed, thrive, and completely blow the doors off of what's coming next. Make sense? I'm glad that it does. The past, the present, and the future. You see, that's where many of us find ourselves. Right there in the middle, thinking about the past, thinking about the present, and thinking about the future. The master coach, Dan Sullivan, once said this: time is a funny thing. We have these ideas called the past, the present, and the future. And we talk about each of them as though they are real places. But the truth of the matter is that I know no one that has ever lived their entire life in the past, nor have they lived their entire life in the future. Everyone I know lives their life in the present. So that's the question. Presently, what are you doing while learning from the past, but looking to the future? And that's what this time alone has given us, a time to have a introspective, retrospective look at our lives and at our careers and where we're going. My past self, I quote quite a bit because quotes have been very significant to me. And I have one that, quite frankly, has been my guiding focus. It's one that says so much about who I am and how I think. And it's this. I'd like to share it with you. The future you see defines the person you will be. Now, if you will indulge me, I'd like you to say that with me. The future you see defines the person you will be. You see, no one has ever known that has ever lived an entire life without having something that has been their guiding light. This quote was extremely meaningful to me, and it's caused me to change and guide my life in ways that I couldn't imagine. So I'm going to encourage you to take a look and find something that means something to you. And every time you hear it, it's a clarion voice, a voice that allows you to redirect, refocus, and tune in on what's important. For me, once again, the future you see defines the person you will be. When I first began, and I know you see that, looks like the Partridge Family bus, I wanted to build this wonderful vision, this vision of what a firm, a financial services firm, would look like. And I knew I had to get people on the bus. And I've always thought about it that way. And when you get people on the bus, it's important not only that you get them there, but you have to have the right team on the bus. And if you look at that, you'll see people that may or may not need to be on the bus, but they're people on the bus. And that's how many of us start out. We start our practices by saying, oh, I may need this, I may need that, I may need this kind of client, I may need that kind of client. And we put all of these people on the bus. But the goal is to refine the people that are on the bus and make them your right team. You see, now we move to not only having the right people on the right bus, but also the right people in the right place. You see, the bus driver that you see there could certainly, most certainly, sit in the back of the bus. It might not be the right place for him to be, but a bus driver could sit in the back of the bus. In fact, he could also be the mechanic on the bus. So that's not to say that multiple people can't do multiple things. But the truth of the matter is this: if you look at the mechanic, he could drive the bus, probably could do it well. But I would bet you one thing, he could be a better mechanic than he could be a driver. So it's important that not only do you get the right people on the bus, but you get the right people doing the right things. That's very important to remember. So make sure you grasp that as we move through this presentation. There is a book. I'm a voracious reader. I read everything. But the book that hit me most very well was Managing the Professional Service Firm by David Mason. And it talked about the fact that there were 3 types of firms. That's 3 types of firms. The first firm was the collaborative firm. And the collaborative firm dealt with a team of highly specialized professionals. They all worked collaboratively, but they were very highly specialized. The next one was the one firm. And what do you mean, Marcus, when you say the one firm? No, that's not a typo. The one firm is they market as a firm. Now, let me give you some examples. Arthur Anderson, Deloitte Touche, Merrill Lynch. When you think about those firms, you think about the firm brand and not particularly the people that work in the firm. The one firm. And then number 3, hunters and farmers firm. Now, that's the one that I will focus on today because it happens to be my firm. The hunters and farmers firm basically deals with individuals that have very unique skill sets and talents that you just can't get anywhere else, but they have come together as one to market as a firm. Now, I will tell you, the hunters and farmers firm is more difficult to be profitable. You have to have very talented people, but if you ever can hit that particular type of firm, it will make all the difference in the world. I love this quote. I usually get to where I am going by walking away from where I have been. Let me say that again. I usually get to where I am going by walking away from where I have begun. Now, that is a quote from an endearing character and certainly a heartwarming philosopher from the mid-1920s. That's right, Winnie the Pooh. And you'll see he's known by Winnie the Pooh and sometimes Pooh Bear, as you see there in the 1926. But if you think about what he said, he's saying that sometimes you have to stop doing what you are doing that you're holding so dear in order to grow and become whatever it is that you want to be. Sometimes we can see our success on the horizon, but instead of traveling out, we want to stay right where we are and just gaze at the beautiful picture. I usually get to where I'm going by walking away from where I have been. Tackling growth. Life is a series of rooms, and you always get pushed into a bigger room. You sometimes cannot even see your next move until you actually get into the next room. Think about that. How many times were you pushed into something you didn't know how it was going to work out, didn't know how it was going to go, but once you got there, you found your way through? That's important for us. My wife has a friend, and she would kill me for saying this, but he has a friend that often states, there are levels to this thing. And what they mean by that is that there are levels to this. There's levels in life. And until you get to a certain level, the window will not open. You have to get to the next level and the window will open and you can see what your next move will be. But here's the problem. Most people stay stagnant in that room because it's comfortable. If you stay in that same room and don't make a change, I promise you, particularly in our current environment, you are dying on the vine. It's important that you continue to strive, move to the next level, and see what's there. All working together. As I was building my firm, I realized something. There were basically 3 areas to building a firm. The front of the house, which included everything from marketing, sales, office decor, the front office staff, all of the things that the client would see on the outside. And that's hugely important because the way a client feels when they walk into an office, the way they are greeted when they walk in, sets the tone of how the appointment and everything else will go. So it's important that you take a good look. In fact, I would suggest that you not take a look. Have someone very important to you enter your office, enter your surroundings, and tell you what they see. Because what happens with us is that we get comfortable seeing what we see every day. And it takes someone that's not there to say, you probably need to have something different here. You probably need to greet someone this way. All of those things will make a small difference, but they'll make a huge difference in the impact of a client. The back of the house. The back of the house is where other things get done. Administration, customer service, all of the things that once the sale or the acquisition of that new client has happened, allows for them to keep that nice and fuzzy feeling. Because at the end of the day, remember this, we all have the same products and services. The only difference is how I make you feel once you become a client. You see, it's very easy to walk away from a mutual fund. It's very easy to walk away from a life insurance policy, but it's very difficult to walk away from a relationship. So we're going to talk about that as we move forward. And then finally, everything else. Everything else can fall into the bucket of what people do over and above. And that's why leaders lead and builders build. And that's where this story truly begins. This is my firm. You can see them there. And I want to tell you, there's no big me and little you. We all work this thing together. And it's important for you to understand that too. The day is long gone that one person in a firm is bigger than the other. Through compliance, through the complication of paperwork, and all of those things that it takes just to get a transaction going, you need to make sure you have the ultimate team put together. So leaders lead and builders build. So let's go with that. What's the characteristics of a leader? Because we need to figure that out. Because one would think that a leader is a builder and a builder is a leader, and they're not. So let's talk about that just for a second. Generally, leaders are visionaries. They can see the unseen. They walk by faith and not by sight. They just know it's going to happen. They can feel it. If you're not that type of person, that's absolutely fine. But understand that there is a difference between a builder and a leader. Can rally the troops. Have you ever met someone just to hear them speak, just to see them enter the room makes all the difference in the world? It makes you feel like it's going to be okay because so-and-so has entered the picture. That's generally the leader. And it's important that that's a characteristic to know that it's generally not one that can be developed. It's just authentically who they are. An empathetic heart. Leaders generally feel the soul of people. Did you hear me? They feel the soul of people. And see, that's something you can't develop either. Either you have an empathetic heart or you don't. And there's no problem with that, but it's important that you know what are the characteristics that make that person a leader. An amazing connection with people. Well, I guess we would know that that should happen automatically because they feel the people. So the characteristic that is most prominent generally with a leader is that they're able to connect with people in such an amazing way. And it's important that we segment that particular trait, particularly in the hunters and farmers firm, because that's what brings the business through the door. Understand it and remember it. And then finally, generally, the leader is not the implementer. Think about those people. They have such big ideas, grand ideas, but they never can get it off the ground. Well, that's me, because my mind changes daily, goes to something else. So what you have to do is make sure you build the proper team around you so that those thoughts and those grand gestures can be effectively carried out. What are the characteristics of a builder? That's the natural progression here. Gets things done. They are the implementer. Yes, it is true. A leader, unfortunately, may be one that has all of the grand ideas, but they never come to fruition. And that's why it's so important that a leader and a builder come together to actually get the plan done. You see, the builder thinks in only one way. This is the vision, I have to implement it. They need concrete avenues. They need avenues that allow for a systematic progression of whatever it is we're trying to achieve. And the great thing about great builders is that they will build it and implement it themselves once the vision is given. They must finish the task. Unlike the leader, a leader may start something, get sidetracked, and go to something else. The builder has to finish the task. Oh, it's starting to make sense now. I understand. So you're starting to figure out where you fall in that spectrum. You're also starting to figure out who you need to be teamed with. Turns ideas into actual plans. The builder turns ideas into actual plans, which is hugely important because otherwise we're just in a Pollyanna world, enjoying everything positive, but nothing's really happening. That's what the builder focuses against. So I'm going to suggest to you that you understand the difference between a leader and a builder and make sure both are in play. Generally, builders are rigid and generally slow to change protocols. That's why it works so well. They work so well together. The leader will see the vision, also can see the change that we're currently going through now, this formation of a new generation. And if we can cast the vision of that and you have a strong builder there, all of a sudden you have a new firm that works in an excellent way in the new frontier that we're about to enter. Make sense? I hope it does. The road forward. How do you build this? Marcus, how do you put together a wonderful team that allows for this to happen? Well, here at our firm, we use several things, and I have one up there. It's important for us before we hire anyone, before anyone becomes engaged at our firm, we make sure that they take the Kolbe A Index. That's right, Kolbe A Index, and that's the website there. What that is not so much of an aptitude test, because we're not looking for intelligence. We assume that that's there. We're looking for instinctual ways. What happens instinctually? What is it that that new team member, that new leader, that new builder will do naturally? Because at the end of the day, we're all searching for what we do that will give us fulfillment and happiness. Well, I'm going to suggest to you that if you take that Kolbe A Index, it'll put you in the position as the head of the firm to know how to build something in your firm. The next one is a little different, but I appreciate it, and I think you will too, is the Enneagram. The Enneagram deals so much with how a person will react. It's still on instinctual, but it gives a little bit more. It also gives you numbers of how the person is according to this Enneagram diagram. It's 9 different areas. I can tell you, I'm a 7. I am a supreme optimist. I don't care what you throw at me. I'm going to be optimistic about it, and we're going to find a way through. So if you get the time, now it will take you a moment, maybe about 15 minutes, but you've got that time. What else are we doing? Go to www.yourenneagramcoach.com. That's www.yourenneagramcoach.com, and you will find a analysis there that will send you back exactly where you are. It's going to be interesting for me and for you to figure out if it's accurate or not. Now, I want to tell you, I'm not promoting any one of these. I'm just telling you exactly what works in our firm. And the reason why it works is because I'm looking to develop what we call the synergistic team. The synergistic team. Now, if you're looking for a definition, there are no analysis there and or test to take. But if you go to www.kppersaud.com, you will find the best definition that I have ever seen of what a synergistic team is. Basically what it is one that everybody's working in their unique ability. Everybody's working on what they do naturally. I don't have to worry about following up on things because there's someone in my office that follows up on things automatically. I don't have to worry about implementing things because there's someone that implements automatically. I don't have to worry about taking detailed fact finders because someone in my office is naturally takes detailed fact finders. So it's important that you take the Kolbe Index, the Enneagram, and to build a synergistic team. So what that does is gives you a road forward. It tells you where you are, what you have, and see what you might find is that you have a bunch of people in your office surrounded around you that are all doing the exact same thing. Well, that tells me that you probably have some holes in either your marketing or your service, and you're not moving forward as a firm the way you should. It's important that you decide where you are, where you want to be, then blaze the road forward to getting there. It's an inspiring journey. Building the A team is an inspiring journey. But I want to talk to you about that just for a second. You see, it used to be that once you built the team, everything was okay. But now we know this, things are changing on average about every 18 months. Some would say things are changing about every 12. So that if you're in a position where you're not constantly mining and taking a look and inspecting, what we don't inspect, don't expect, we'll put ourselves in a position where we'll fall behind as a firm very quickly. So on this inspiring journey, remember this, it never ends. It's not something that one day you're going to put together and say, we've got the firm, we've got what we need to win, because winning is a moving target. Now, as I end this and the back room starts to put together and sets up for questions and answers, I want to tell you one thing personally about NAIFA. You see, NAIFA has been very key to me. My first designation was the LUTCF. I cannot say that I would have made it in this business without earning the Life Underwriter Trainings Council Fellow. But see, the difference is this, CLU, CHFC, CFP, all great designations. But what LUTC was for me was the practical application of what I should be doing. And it had benchmarks. It allowed for me to understand where I was supposed to be and what I could do and how I could tweak it just to get better. It had action plans, things for me to do. I had to go out and do it every day. And see, what I know now is that you only win by failing. Did you hear me? You only win by failing. But if you don't ever try, you can't fail. So you don't know what works and what does not work. So right now, we know the skill enhancement benefit part of NAIFA, LUTCF, and LACP, which are great. And right now, you need to check that out. Also, continuing education opportunities, like what you're doing right now. Prayerfully, something that was said today made you think just a little differently. And see, that's what you're going to think. That's what you're going to need, is that out-of-box thinking. It's important that you think differently in order to get through different times. The consistency of what you were probably won't work anymore, but what you have learned, you can build upon and move forward. Continuing education opportunities. Relationships and camaraderie. Relationships and camaraderie. Here's what I know. Until you have relationships, you can't have camaraderie. It comes after the relationship. So what NAIFA allows for you to do is be with people that are like-minded, but doing different things. And you will find your own little subgroup, your little subsection of what you're trying to do, and you can help each other get there. So relationships first, camaraderie second. Young Advisors Team, YAT. That was something I did not have the benefits of. I was older when YAT came to be, although from time to time, I'd like to think I was still a YAT. The important thing about the YAT team is that it allows for the younger people in the way of age demographic to come together and deal with some things that, quite frankly, the older advisors have no idea about, not a clue. Currently, right now, some of you out there are struggling to use Zoom. Many of us, this was the first time having to use Zoom on a regular basis. But our younger generation, it was a natural. They're looking at us like, what were you waiting for? It had to take a catastrophic situation for us to decide that online webinars was a good way to go. Industry protection. I am a very huge advocate, and as I know NAIFA is, in the way of our industry protection. See, you have to have someone out there lobbying for us. We have a very rich business and profession. But if we continue and things become tighter as we see the budgets are and taxes and everything else, you have to have someone on the hill each and every day. That's why when every month, when that NAIFA pack comes out of my account, I have no problem with it because it allows me to go and focus on what I need to do to take care of my clients so that I know that NAIFA is taking care of everything up there in Washington, D.C. And then finally, career conferences, performance and purpose that is coming up in Boston. By the way, I'll be one of the big idea speakers, so I hope to see you there. In fact, I hope to see anyone in October there. That's going to be something we'll be working on. But you've got other things going. Like this, you've got all of the conferences between now, one next week, one the following, all of the things that Kevin talked about at the top of the hour. So make sure you stay engaged and do all of the things that are necessary to ensure that you are successful. You see, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Did you hear what I said? Success is not to be pursued. It's to be attracted by the person you become. So it's incumbent upon you to work harder on you so that when we come out of this, you come out of it in shape, in focus, and ready to serve your dear clients. God bless you. We'll talk again. Now we'll go to questions and answers.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Really appreciate it. I will now ask that John join us again so that we can get to some Q&A.
Okay, I'm voice-wise, I'm back, and video-wise. And Zach, if you want to add me, that'd be great. And we're back. Okay, so can you guys see me? Good. Okay, so I got a question here. And actually, if you're at the bottom of your Zoom, if you could, we've received several questions throughout the presentation, so I'm going to start with those. And we have a limited amount of time for questions. So as I'm asking these questions and Marcus is answering them, please, in your Q&A section at the bottom of Zoom, click on that button and start typing your questions right away. First question comes to us from New York, from Robert Tyson. Marcus, what made you want to be a financial advisor?
Robert, thank you for that question. You know, my mother tells me that I always wanted to be in something to do with finance. But what happened was this, is that I came up not the most progressive household. I realized that if I was going to be in this profession, I wanted to be a stockbroker. But the truth of the matter, in order to be a stockbroker, you kind of needed to know people that had money. And I didn't know anybody that had money. So it made sense to go into the insurance and financial services arena. And I've always had a personality that worked with people. Because see, at the end of the day, and I know you know this, Robert, because that's why you're asking the question, we all use the same products and services. I don't care if you're in New York, Nashville, or Baltimore. It's not about the products. It's about the personality. And once I figured out that I had a personality that was pleasing to others, this became the profession for me. I have done nothing else. I worked my way through college, started here, and I've been here ever since, and I'm so thankful. The goal of everyone is to figure out their why. Why is it you do what you do? And I found my why very early. I thank you so much for that question, Robert, and I hope I answered it sufficiently.
Very good. Thank you, Marcus. Next question is from Cynthia Hodges in Ohio. Marcus, what career accomplishments are you most proud of?
Wow, that's a great one. Thank you so much for asking. I would have to say my career accomplishments are just being able to refine and grow this firm. Every day, I get to come in and work in an environment of people I have handpicked and chosen to come along on this journey with me. Now, many of you out there know that it's very difficult to keep people, to train people, to do all of those things. And right now, I would have to say the person that, and particularly with my administrative staff, they've been with me the least time would be about 7 years. And the longest has been about 18 years. I've been able to watch them grow, their children grow, the firm grow, and we're able to take on clients in a family unit. That has been such a blessing. And if I had to say from a career standpoint, just being able to develop and grow this firm to its current level of prominence has been the true blessing. Thank you for asking that.
Next question comes to us from Lori Gubash in Minnesota. Marcus, are you using the EOS system by Gino Wickman? And I believe that book is Traction, is the book she's referring to.
I am not using that. In fact, I'm not even familiar with that, but I would appreciate if John would take that down. I think he has, and he's going to send it to me a little later, and I want to look into it. That's important for me. Like I said, I can't focus for long, but if I can get a book, and for those of you out there, if you're not utilizing Audible and downloading books from Audible, you're missing the base. You're completely missing the point. All you have to do is download it, and you can get a book in about 2 weeks. So John's taking that down for me. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I don't know what it is, but I can promise you this. Give me 2 weeks and I will. Thank you.
The next question actually is also from Minnesota, from Corey Anderson. Marcus, if you could start your career over again, what would you do differently?
Oh, wow. Hindsight being 2020. One of the things that I would have done differently is that I'm old school. I've been doing this for 30 years. I would have brought clients' assets under management and not just the mutual funds or individual stocks. I think sometimes our young people really don't understand what a great position it is that they're able to grow those assets that way, because it offers a consistency of income and you're not always on the treadmill of trying to figure out where the next sale is going to come. Now, here's the flip side of that. I love the hunt. I will have to admit to you that I love the process of finding someone that is not a client and turning them into a client. And a client for me is at least 3 products. So it would have still been mutual funds or managed account, but also life, disability, annuities, all of those other things. So, but I will tell you, that's something that I look back on now that would have made a huge difference in the way that I practice, in the way of stability and consistency of income. That's a great question.
Okay, and again, keep the questions coming as Marcus answers them. At the bottom, at the Zoom link, just click on it and type in your question. Next question is actually from Florida, Sharon Smith. Marcus, what motivates you?
Wow, that's the why. That's the why. You know, here's the thing. I talk to a lot of young people in this business, and the first thing they say, why do you want to be in this business? Well, I want to earn a good living. Well, what does that mean? And inevitably, they all say $100,000 a year. And I say, what are you willing to do to earn that $100,000 a year? And the answer is always the same. I'll do anything. I say, anything? Oh, just anything. Well, anything, does that mean working from 8 in the morning to 10 at night, 6, maybe 7 days a week sometimes? Does that mean going out in the middle of the night to meet people sitting at home in their slippers? Does that mean getting up before a doctor goes in to have his rounds at 6:30 in the morning to make sure that he's taken care of, if that's particularly your marketplace? See, and then what they say is, well, I don't want to do all of that. Well, then you have just found that no, you're not willing to do anything. My why is that I enjoy to serve. See, I know this, is that every small decision that we make with our clients will one day become a big decision. Did you hear me? Every small decision that we make with our clients will one day become a big decision. So my why is that if I can just continue to serve, take care of the clients that I have, I'll stay motivated. Because I will tell you this, if it would ever to come to me that I could change professions, I would stay right where I am right now. I know where I'm supposed to be. And it's important that you understand and take a look in the center. You draw a circle and you keep going inward and inward to the right, to the center. There's a thing called your unique ability. Right now, I'm working in my unique ability, and I pray that you find the same. It will be a time, it takes a time to develop it, but once you find it, you will know it. That's my why.
Very good. And the questions are coming. I love it. Next question is from California, Lisa Phillips. Marcus, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Wow. That, once again, these are really great questions. I think you live in about 3 to 5 year intervals. What I want now, and I'm taking on a junior advisor that is coming on with me, because here's what I know. You don't want to take on more, you want to do less. So if a person is doing about 10 things in their practice, you want to get it down to about 3. My goal is to get it to the point where I'm only taking on 8 to 10 clients a year. That's it, 8 to 10, but they will be special clients that are in the marketplace where I would like to be, and they're large clients. We will immediately connect because of my unique marketplace. For those of you that don't know, I work with clergy members across the United States of America. Yeah, many of those that you see on television, physicians and dentists. And then my referral source becomes people that are pre-retirement that have just been referred to our firm. So what happens is that the more that you take on people that are alike, you don't have to change. Have you ever noticed that if it's an executive or an architect or a builder or whatever, you have to change to that personality? That doesn't work for me. I have one personality and I take on a certain kind of client. So if I can take on 10 of them a year, and remember, we're not a local firm, we are a national firm. I'm pretty much licensed everywhere. It allows me to have a bigger footprint and a bigger threshold of what to do. So in 5 years from now, we'll be taking on 5 clients.
Great. Next question comes to us from Illinois, Jeff Woodall. He wrote in, how has being a financial advisor positively impacted your personal life?
You know, sometimes that situation is much like a cobbler who has no shoes. You know, you get so focused in on taking care of clients. Just this week, I've had one client pass, and you find yourself reflecting on whether or not you have done everything that you were supposed to do. So to answer your question is that it makes me think of things a whole lot deeper than I ever thought before. I don't take things lightly. I'm looking not for what I see or what I hear, but what I don't see and what I don't hear, because generally that's where you can help the client the most. And I also do that with my personal life. I try to listen not to see or listen to what I hear, but to listen for the things that I don't see or hear. It has been a personal and spiritual growth for me, and I'm really thankful for it.
Next question comes to us from Colorado, Jennifer Adams. What is your typical work week or your week schedule, and how has this COVID-19 season affected what you traditionally do?
Oh, that's a great one right there. Typically, I see about 15 people a week, and that's going to be the new clients, client reviews, or just to help someone. But it's going to be about 15, about 3 a day. Now, I want to be very transparent with you guys. I don't want you to believe anything that I'm up here working 8 to 8. I usually get in about 9:30. I'm out of here about 5. So I'm going to see the first client about 10 o'clock, then 1 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. Now, here's the deal. When that routine has ended, what I have learned to do now is to reach out to clients and just check on them. Most clients understand what's going on right now, so I don't have to go over the accounts. If they want to go over the accounts, I've already taken a look at it. I know what to say, but I'm just checking on people right now. And the other thing that I have done is that I work with a particular denomination of churches, Methodist churches, and they have districts. So now all of the bishops of the district need someone to come in and do webinars because they're running out of content. See, what you have to look for is whatever focus or marketplace where you are. Think about it. They were running out of content before this. So now if you can just find the leader of whether it's a medical, engineers, architects, whatever, of that association, they're still trying to meet from a webinar standpoint, and they're looking for people that will get online on Zoom or on Skype or on whatever, to have a good, meaningful conversation with their association. So I would suggest that you take a look at that. So it also allows you to focus in on where your particular market niche will be.
A follow-up to that question comes from Jeremy Stone in Washington. Based on your experience in the industry, what changes do you see this COVID-19 season having on our industry, short-term as well as long-term?
Surely. Okay. Short-term, people are still trying to figure it out. And I get that. From a practicing standpoint, the next time you say we want to have some fixed income products in your portfolio, some annuities and different things like that, people will agree with you and not say, oh no, I want to keep it all growing, because now they realize there can be an abrupt downturn in the market. That's number one. Number two, from a long-term standpoint, the internet is no longer optional. It's required. Did you hear me? It's no longer optional. It is required. So all of those clients that maybe are a little bit older that will say, I don't want to get on the internet, now will get on the internet. And it's not because of you. You would think it was, no, it's not because of you. It's because they want to see their grandchildren. They want to see all of their family around the world, and they know I'm not going to get out and travel. So they're going to figure out how to use Zoom and FaceTime and Skype and all of the things that are coming. Oh, did you hear me? There are other things coming that will put them in a position where they can have that type of interaction with each other. So it won't be anything unnatural to do business the exact same way. I can also see that there will be a lot of people, financial advisors, which there are some now, working remotely. And that's something that we've got to be careful about, because like you, and I'm sure it's like you, I read something last week that said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then they went back and they crossed out everything and they said day, 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 day. That's what's happening to me. Every day is just a day. So we're going to have to be careful and make sure that people understand that we work between this hour and that hour, as opposed to what's happening right now. They're calling you 8, 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning because they're up. So we're going to have to restructure our world and make it so that everything flows like it did pre-COVID.
Okay, this is our last question. Again, we have several questions, and if you did not get your question asked today, feel free to follow up with the NAIFA home office, and we'll be sure to get those questions to Marcus, and perhaps he can answer them one-on-one. Our last question comes from Iowa, and that's Dane Johnston, and she writes, how much time do you spend outside the office sharpening the saw and or vacationing?
Yeah, well, I'll be quite transparent with you. I am a Dan Sullivan junkie, and you saw I use Dan Sullivan. So I only work about 200 days a year. So if you look at that, you know, you got 365 days, and Marcus is taking off almost a third, because I don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm going to hit every conference that I want to hit. You see, I believe, and then of course, family vacations and all of those things, I want to make sure that I have structured my world and my practice. I don't mind sharing with you guys. I have gotten it down to a hourly rate. My hourly rate is about $700 an hour. So if you know it's $700 an hour and you put that in your mind, you only do $700 an hour work. Because if you take the numbers and you do 200 days at about 6 hours a day, not 8 hours, 6 hours a day, you will find that is about $1 million of revenue. So my goal is to always engage at my practice to deliver $1 million of revenue. Because if you keep doing that over and over again, and you're taking assets under management, you don't have to worry about, you know, future income or the highs and lows of revenue. So it's important that you decide, very important that you decide, where is your place in your firm? Because you don't need to be doing something else that someone else is playing. When a client calls you and says, I need you to change bank draft, or I need a distribution, you need to have somebody where you refer them to very nicely, very kindly, and then make sure they know to go to that person. Because if you want to schedule a appointment with your physician, you don't generally call him and say, hey doc, what day can I come in? You call his appointment coordinator and you get on his schedule. And when you get there to see him, you only see him on average about 7 minutes, and he's gone on to the next person. Well, we try to structure our firm the exact same way.
Thank you, Marcus. Back to you, Zach.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Marcus, so much for your insight and your time today. We really appreciate having you on. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our NAIFA Live virtual event. I just want everyone to be sure to mark their calendar for the next NAIFA Live, which is on June 12th. That's featuring Brian Haney. And before we close, I just want to mention one more thing, that we're going to be sending out a survey following this event as we look forward to 2021. We appreciate in advance you filling it out just so that we can continue to deliver quality programming during our NAIFA Live events. But thanks again, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye, y'all.